All right, folks. So here we are back again with Hugh, who you may have remembered from the last couple episodes, is the whale in the process of migrating. We watched him strategize, completely nuke his account, and now we're going to actually see the transfer before the rebuilding stage and have some interesting discussion along the way. So thanks again for joining us, Hugh.
Hey, nice to see you all again. Thank you. Yeah, no, it's my pleasure. It's been a stressful couple of days. Obviously, the transfer event has just started for us, and we've been trying to organise bringing people in and special invites, regular invites, and things like that. So it's my phone's been exploding. It's been a bit non-stop, but I'm here to finally get myself across with everybody, like I promised them I would. So.
Yeah. No, thanks. I appreciate it. And just a little bit of context here for everyone. So not only is Hugh the person who's transferring into the kingdom, but he's also the high king on the other kingdom that's also acting as transfer manager. So he's wearing all the hats in this transaction. So we're actually on his we're on his other account in the
Yeah,
destination kingdom right now, where he has been very mercifully holding off on giving himself an invite while waiting for us to align on a time to record. So thanks for the patience.
no, honestly, it's been my pleasure. It's been funny actually just tormenting everybody in my alliance and telling them to wait and wait and wait because all they want to do is just give me a red screen. So kind of looking forward to that one.
Ah,
I'll see
so
who
you
I
got
can
a
catch first.
so you got a welcome party waiting for you.
Yeah, exactly. I think I've got the whole army ready for coming at me. But yeah, one of the things that I noticed with the transfer event, if I enter in my ID here, it only gives me the option to send myself a special invite. And I obviously don't have any of those left, so I have to jump onto my other account in a moment and take off all my hero gear again and become skinny enough to move. So yeah, I'm more than happy to do that now if you want me to.
Yeah, yeah, let's do it. And again, just I know it's a little bit more continuous for people watching this coming in from the last episode, but we actually recorded that 2 days prior. So poor Hugh's been sitting there with a nerfed account. All he
Yeah,
could
I've
do
been
was
hanging
put the
off
gear
with
back.
everything inside me. Yeah,
Uh,
so I'll jump over to the other account now and I'll take off all the hero gear if you want to jump on and follow me with that.
Let's do it. All right, so now we're here back on the other account. So
Yep.
let's take that 181 back down to the weight class you got to make.
Yeah, so if I go onto all my heroes and I press the buttons in the right direction, I can probably do this quicker. Nope, I've gone the wrong way. Take all these off and then just double check it. There we go, 169 million again.
Yeah.
So that should be everything that I need to do from that side. Now I've got to jump back to the other account and send myself
Let's do it.
the
All right. So now we're back on the main account. And the reason we've been
yeah.
laughing is because we're actually doing this between two phones. And every time we do this, I have to resize the screen in between cuts.
Yeah, it's one of them situations. But after this, we should be on the same phone for a little while I say goodbye to 915 and obviously take myself across. So I've just
Yep.
loaded up the Kingdom transfer page now. I was good enough to copy and paste myself, and now you'll see here that it comes up there on the right hand side with the ordinary invite. So I'll send that across to myself, and that should be it from here for now.
Yep. One more
Hopefully.
screen edit to do.
Yep.
All right. And we're back for hopefully the last change, at least for a few moments.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so perfect. As soon as I sent myself that invite, I got the little scroll down in the bottom right hand corner here that you can see, which kind of indicates to me that it's just going to open up, yeah, the transfer invite. So if I go on view for that, the only thing that's red now is the alliance. Everything else is ticked. So before I go any further, I will just say a quick goodbye. Oh no, can't write that. Sorry.
from what I understand, Hugh already said his goodbyes that are the type where I would get demonetized if I showed them.
Yeah, I said some explicit stuff that probably wouldn't be comfortable for YouTube to kind of show to everybody. But right now, I think we're good for me to just say see you later on on 902 when Phase 3 opens. There we go. So that's all completed. The goodbyes are done. I'll go into my settings and leave, and back to the transfer page.
Oh, you
I
should
think
at least
maybe.
you're gonna collect the caravans first. Actually, no, you should
Oh,
probably do it on the other which side I don't know which one it actually works
I
better
don't know.
on.
I don't know. I don't know. Is it? But I'm just gonna do them now, just in case.
The worst of all 3 options.
Yeah, I know. I know. I probably should have waited, but I didn't want to lose them. So if I go to view and click the transfer, it's going to cost me 40 passes, which I bought prior to recording. So there we go. Let's pretend I've read it all. And so they didn't manage to get all my RSS, but they got a lot of it, which is good for them. So confirm. Away we go. Into the other side. Oh, that's nice, isn't it?
It kinda
A
looks
little
like a
message to the
tombstone.
game. It does, yeah. It's weird that they portray it like that, but at least it gives you a little hello. And there I am, bubbled up. So the first thing I need to really be doing is getting rid of that bubble because we don't like playing in bubbles. So let me find a patch of grass to teleport to. Yeah, I've got somewhere here. Let me just find somebody to. Let's go for. Oh, let's go for Grace. She was one of my special invites. Let's attack Grace with one archer because I got plenty of them.
I was gonna say, you better not do a full march. You're gonna need every one of those last troops you still have left.
Yeah, I think if I did a full march, she'd also do one, and I don't want to eat one of those right now. She's a pretty big player. She's been amazing the whole time. So what we kind of tried to do was bring a good chunk of people all from the same server. Well, from 2 servers actually, to come and join us and play together. And I can't shout out Grace enough for her work and her help. She's been fantastic. Oh, there we go. My screen's red. She didn't know it was coming, but I kind of wished it upon myself. So,
Doesn't look like it's her though. Someone else found you.
oh yeah, probably. Oh no, it is
Oh, no, it
Grace.
is. It's a scout. Never
Yeah,
mind.
she's Grace for now, but I imagine the rest will all jump in. They're not shy. So, if you see red screens throughout this recording, don't worry. I'm not under any trouble. It's just my guys are messing with me. But yeah, I mean, I really like the process of the transfers. I like how it's kind of organized and set out. Everything's in one tab. It's really easy to understand and navigate. I think there could be a few better options that Kingshot could do, but overall, my kind of experience on it's pretty positive. I, I I don't think anywhere during this process I've been uncomfortable doing what I was doing. And when you consider that before Kingdom versus Kingdom, I was maybe 290 million in power, and I'm now down to 170 million in power, it's not really as bad as it looks, in terms of I've still got a good chunk of troops, I've still got, everything that I kind of wanted to have in my backpack. I've got enough RSS to, rebuild everything and get on board with that. So for me, I'm really quite happy with it, to be honest. It's not a painful experience at all. Oh, here she comes with the march. Let's
Oh
see.
boy. Let's let's hope
Oh,
it's oh, it's only 1. Okay.
yeah, she just sent me a little love tap. I was about to bubble.
I don't know if you can bubble when they're that close. You might need to teleport.
Yeah, I think because I attacked first, I'm in that
Yeah.
state where I can't bubble for half an hour. So
Yeah. But anyway, on that line of on rebuilding, let's talk a little bit about the game plan. What's your strategy both, in the short term and the long term?
yeah, so short term, obviously the first thing I want to really try and get to do is to join my own alliance. Um, I mean, on the leaderboard right now, I think we're second in the neighborhood rankings. So if I go to the neighboring kingdoms, yeah, we're second at the moment, but we're really close to first. You know, there's not much. I think we're actually ahead. And when I join, obviously, it'll take us a bit higher as well. So um, the most important thing for me at all times during the game is being in an alliance that's super active. I have to know that, you know, everybody around me is going to be helping, contribute in the same ways that I am. So if you are new to the game or you're just starting out, that's one of the first things that you should look for is getting yourself in a group of people that's, you know, active, participating in events and making sure that you maximize the free stuff from the game that we spoke about previously. Um, but from my point of view, I'm just going to buy absolutely everything to regrow as quick as possible because I'm too lazy to wait. So, without further ado, I think I will just view alliance and apply. So, from the other account, it's probably not worth changing the screen again, but from the other account, I'm literally just approving myself to join, and I'll show you why in
There
a
you go.
moment. And I'm
There you
in.
go. You're
There
in.
we go. Yeah. So one of the big things that we all try to do collectively as an alliance is these loot chests. So every single day, you can see here it's 421, and that goes off how many you collect a day. But every single day, we're trying to make that maximum 500 a day. And, as you saw on the other half of the video that we recorded, we're always looking for the highest level of terror.
Yeah, which is
Um,
the new bird as of this morning.
yeah, so we just got level 8 come out this morning in our server, which was really nice. Um, and you can sort of see here what the possible rewards are.
I love
Uh,
that they changed the purple shard with a chest that's only 50% for the purple shard and
yeah, I
50%
really
well, a whole
like
bunch of
that.
other stuff.
There we go. So I'm in, and then I'll go to the Alliance, I'll go to Wars, and I'll just select auto join for everything. There was some from me leaving it on while I slept overnight, but obviously I'm hoping to try and fill those out throughout the end of the day. Um, Nobody's bought anything yet. Lazy. So if
Well,
they
you're gonna have to
haven't
fix
bought
that.
anything, yeah, if they haven't bought anything, I think it's quite rude of me to join and not give everybody a nice gift. So if nobody else has done it, I guess I might as well have to. But I just wanted to run you guys through some of the packs that personally I would say are advantageous to everybody, whether you're spending a lot of money or a little bit of money. Um, these are things that are going to really help you out through the game, but they only come on at certain time periods. So right now we've got Masters Collection for the charms, and for me that's a must buy. As a rally leader, charms are so important for your stats. They're going to help you out a bunch. So the faster you can upgrade your charm levels, the better results you'll see in big events where you're fighting on KVK and things like that. So they are always super important. Sorry, I'm just scanning through the tab to see what I can and can't buy. um,
Window
the other
shopping.
thing that I really like are custom selections. Now, in terms of the values for these, it does say that it's a best deal. But one thing that people don't really consider about that is the fact that it doesn't give you gems. So if you're not already VIP 12 and you're really trying to push that hard, these aren't like a need to buy pack. They're good. They're great in terms of value. Like right now, if I really wanted to do research speed or even true gold, they'd be my go-tos, to be honest. That's one area that's kind of great for people, that they don't give you any opportunity other than these small VIP XP amounts to really push And I mean, the jump from VIP 11 to VIP 12 is 2.4 million. So, and that's in EXP. So if you wanted to get that from gems, you're talking, 4.8 million gems. To put it into context, when most of the other packs do give you gems, they're kind of not priority unless you're at a level where you're not too bothered about them. Exclusive gear enhancement, fantastic packs.
Actually, can you
Again,
can you go back to the last one?
yeah, the pet
For the
chest.
custom,
Oh,
yeah, for the custom, I'm trying to remember, but it I think this is the one too where sometimes people don't realize you can get the same thing multiple times. Sometimes people
yes, you
think you have to
can.
get one for each, but if you maybe wanna show it real quick.
Yeah, of course. So if I click on the first box and I did research speed, and then the second box research speed, and the third, instead of it just being 13 hours overall, it'd be 39 hours. So, that's quite a bit in there. And obviously, as you get down to the higher level packs, you're talking 274 hours of speed ups, which when you add all that together, I'm not good enough at maths to be bothered to do that. But you're talking a lot of days of speed ups there, and if you're trying to bulk buy something in particular so that you can push it for an event, then definitely grouping all of these together is going to benefit you massively. And I think that's a great point that you just pointed out on, because when it comes to the pet chests, these advanced taming marks, they're very hard to come by. They don't show up in an awful lot of places. And if you want the best level of upgrades for your stats on pets, there's something that you're going to want to try and look into if you've got any kind of budget for it. Because once you get to like gold level, try to turn it into red, the blue taming marks, they just don't, they're never going to get you anywhere. You need to spend so much of them to get that next level of progression on your account. So, but when it comes to important things for me, realistically, like right now, we've just had Generation 4 Heroes drop. So this is the first opportunity other than Champagne Fair that I would be able to get them unless I was buying this one, which I am going to do in a moment. Oh, that all reset. My Hero Rally reset. Strange. I didn't realize that when I transferred it would lose all the progression, but yeah.
Yeah, but you should be able to get it back, I think.
Yeah, that's it. It gives you 30 days to do it, and that's plenty, so
Yeah.
there's no problem there. Um, but yeah, going across the board and looking at, these daily deals, again, they're fantastic for the hero shards. They give speed ups and they also give gems. It's one of the best value packs in the game for me in terms of what you get for it. The amount of speed ups that it gives you for the price, you can't get that anywhere else. So for me, that's one thing that I would always try and look to get if I just had a spare, 4.99 laying around. And then these weekly and monthly deal cards, these all expired for me yesterday, which was really nice because it means I get to buy them again today. As you can see here on the monthly card, I bought 2 or 3 months of it at the time by accident, but I did it. So I've had plenty of days on that. But
You'll
with
use it
these,
eventually.
yeah, so with these, they're valid for 7 days and they give you a great amount of things consistently that you can collect every day. In terms of what you'd want to specify, I mean, if you're at the joiner level or, probably even the rally leader level, these packs for the true gold are fantastic. Because the higher level troops you are, the better they'll perform in the rallies and the more extra bonuses that you get for having them in there. Again,
Yeah,
these pack
and
weekly cards.
especially with the
Oh,
War
go
Academy too.
Yep, and I think sometimes in the past I have bought 4 or 5 of these all at the same time of the True Gold packs because when you buy it, you instantly get 24. So if you're close to an upgrade, it's actually better value for money to buy this pack than it would be to buy the regular store pack. I didn't work that out until I'd spent a fortune on it, but we know now and we learn from our mistakes. So
Can you say a bit
yeah,
more about the math on
so
that one?
the 24 that you get here for $4.99 for me. if you go to the regular True Gold pack, you're only actually getting 20. Now, if you are in an active alliance and you're not really, concerned about the amount of speed ups that you're going to be getting from doing your general daily tasks, the value in terms of that extra 4 gold immediately, but also, the 10 every day for 7 days, that's 70. And then these True Gold weekly chests, they give you a calculated chance to get even more out of that pack. So overall, you're spending the same amount of money, but you're getting more of what you need directly and immediately. So I'm
Yeah.
not bothered if this valid for 7 days goes up to valid for 700 days. If I need that amount of true gold, these are where I'd always go, unless the special value packs are on. And I think that's a really important thing for people who are kind of undecided on which way to go with it. But yeah, typically the special event packs are on when you're going to need True Gold to do your upgrades for the best rewards. But if they're not, at least, people are aware of that option and why I'd, tend to lean this way towards the weekly cards than anything else.
Yeah.
That's that one. I mean, all of these regular packs, you can see in the top right hand corner, the percentage that it gives you typically is lower than anything else.
Yep. And by the way,
Um,
too, another important thing about those percentages. So the way that they're calculated is that each of the items that make up the pack have essentially there's almost like a hidden gem value for it that the developers ascribe to each type of material, whether it's True Gold or Charm Design or Charm Guide or even VIP points. And basically, there's a sort of an arbitrary point at which they say, this item is equal to this many gems, and thus those gems are equal to a certain dollar value for purchasing the pack. Now, obviously, it's inflated because everything's 4-digit percentage, so it sounds like a good deal. But in
yeah.
general, in general, that's what these numbers are telling you, right? They're saying you're getting more sort of equivalent gem value for the dollar purchase price based on
Yeah.
their calculations, and that there's a distinction to that. Nor I mean, it's not so much that they're off, but ones that they tend to rate very highly in terms of gem value are like those rare taming marks, the orange ones, because if you've
Yeah.
seen them in other shops, they're always way more currency. And
Yeah,
so
they are.
those
They can't
that's
afford to.
exactly, and that's gonna push it up. But the thing that gets really interesting is I know there's stuff that's floating around out there for, like all of the different gem values that people you can back into them. If you build up enough of these examples, you can solve the system of equations and figure out what the gem value is for each of these items that it's based off of. But the thing is, it also doesn't take into account that there's diminishing returns the more that you advance down a certain road. So the more you've
Yeah.
built out your governor gear, the less value additional artisan visions or satin or what have you is. The more you've built your governor charms, the less value that there is for additional charm designs and charm guides because not only
Yeah.
does the
And I
cost per level go up, and thanks for showing it, but
Yeah,
the
I was
value
just
you
gonna
get.
yeah, I can show you that now. So, I
Yeah.
mean, for me, I use the calculator online to be able to work out exactly how much I need, where I wanna buy, each individual compartment that I do need. And we kinda touched on this before about the value of the stamina or the meat legs or whatever you wanna call them.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can pick up satin for free on a regular basis on game, and you can also exchange the free satin that you get to artisan or to threads is super beneficial now. That just kind of ups the ante for everything. And if you're doing that on a consistent basis, so if you're doing, X amount of rallies a day and you're knowing that you're gonna get, so much satin pretty much guaranteed every day, you can exchange 500, at a time and balance it out with the threads if you've got
Yeah.
enough to do so. So
Yeah, it's a great
that's
point.
always a really good option to do. Um, but as you go up in levels, the there's always a big bottleneck for Saturn and Thread as opposed to Artisan, and that's just because of the ways that the packs are weighted and how it leans on it. So I think it's
Yep.
calculated and designed by them to make you spend more money, but
Yeah, probably.
it's just one of them situations that we find ourselves in. So
But
for
I
each
think
one, you get told how much you'll need, and the calculator does really help you work out where you're at and what you want to be doing with it. So yeah, that's a big thing.
yeah, and I think that's also as a bit of an aside where Zbrave and I want to go with the Kingshot optimizer. We've already sort of got it set up where you can put in, here are all the forge hammers and mithril and extra gear I have, and it'll tell you the most opportune way, the most optimized way to use all of those materials and maximize your stats, given the value of each of those stats too. But what we want to do is tie that upstream to the pack purchasing. So now you can say, look, I'm choosing between Governor Gear and versus Governor Charms versus Hero Gear versus Pet Taming Marks, and given my
Yep.
account position and all the diminishing returns and various stats and stat weights within there, what's going to give me the best increase in stats per dollar spent? And that's the next
Yeah,
linkage we're looking to make, but that's a lot of work to build, but we're
it
starting to work on
definitely
that
is. I
now.
mean, I have some fantastic people in my alliance that really help with stuff like that. Um, and they're really, really on the ball with, because a lot of the whales just kind of want to decide, you know, I've got $600 to spend. What should I spend it on? What's going to be the most beneficial to everybody in the alliance? Certainly, that's what it is from my perspective. If I can score the most amount of points for the alliance in a key event, then I would much rather focus in that area. And I think that's one thing that we've, kind of managed to nail down is more than stat per dollar. It's more actually a case of point per dollar, because then everybody gets the most benefit from it. And that was one thing that we really wanted to try and work together to try and achieve. So we managed to get that nailed down, and I'll
Yep.
uh, I'll try and find the guy who's brilliant for it, but I don't know where he'll be landed. There he is, royalty free. He's a fantastic guy. Really clever, super intelligent, and he's always on ball for helping me spend my money in the right way. If I've
What
got
are
it and
friends
it's
for?
there, yeah, exactly. If I've got it and it's there, he's always saying, "No, don't buy this, buy that instead." Or, and I
Yeah.
really appreciate that from him, because, like everybody, when they're new in the game, it's that impulse detection of, oh, there's packs here, let's go and buy these. So, you know, having a little bit of guidance has helped me out quite a lot.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for that.
Well, speaking of which, should we actually do some pack purchases now?
Yeah, I actually feel like these guys are missing a pack. Oh, someone beat me to it. Okay, never mind. They bought the Fishing Pro set.
It's just a fishing set, don't worry.
It's all right. I'll let them off. So yeah, I mean, the way I do my purchases for packs is actually, I think, it's a good grey area that people aren't aware of or don't speak about very much. And there's services out there that will actually help save you money if you are spending, whether it's a little bit or a lot. That squeezing as much as you possibly can per dollar is going to benefit you. And these sites that I try to use and I encourage everybody around me to try and use is purely for that benefit. The game is aware that we do it, and it doesn't actually have issues with us doing it. They're still collecting profit regardless. So, you know, if I can get a bit more and they can still see a profit, then they really don't mind on that. Um,
Yeah.
and
I mean,
yeah, I think
that's an important point, and where Hugh's going with this is this discussion of so-called top-up services. And a lot of whales out there use them. It's sort of like an
we
open
do.
secret.
We do.
Um,
Yeah, I'll confess, I definitely do.
yeah, and I mean, we can talk more about this, and in fact, it's probably a good discussion to have here. But yes, it's a bit of a gray area where it comes to the terms of service. there's a lot of misinformation around them, and usually the one reason that game services tend to dissuade them, well, there's 2 reasons, but they both stem from the fact that there's bad actors in the space. But if you have
Yeah.
a good actor, it's actually win-win-win for, the player, the top-up service, and the developer, because basically what they're doing is aggregating all of these transactions, buying gift cards in bulk with the combined spending power, and thus getting a significant discount, and then they keep a few percentage points on the transaction for the processing and their operations and infrastructure. So
Yep.
usually what this means is the developer is getting the same amount of money, if not more, if the player decides with their savings that they want to buy an additional pack they otherwise wouldn't have been able to. And the player gets more value for the money that they spend. Now, the reason why publishers dissuade this is because it creates a minefield. As you can imagine, the support headache for them if there's an issue with a third party, they don't want to be responsible for it. And like I said, there's some bad actors in this space, so they might get gift cards from less reputable sources.
No, exactly. And I think what you're actually trying to say is that, some people out there do have malicious intentions, but there is genuinely good, services that are available for people, that are tried, tested, and they come with minimal, if any, risk, to be honest. I mean, if there is a risk, I've never seen one personally, and I've played these kind of games for the best part of 6 or 7 years now, and I've always spent on them. And what's really important is that when people are telling you that it is safe and it is okay, that you do follow what they're telling you to go towards, because I'll put it out there and say that the big one that I use is Paxify, and I can't recommend them enough. They're super helpful. They're fantastically convenient for me. And I think that a lot of people are probably quite worried and scared to go and use it because they're kind of got this concept in their head that if the game ever found out that their account would be banned, and that's not what happens. If you fall into the wrong hands and you get into a bad provider who's using difficult methods or whatever else it may be, that's where the issue would lie. It would never be with a reputable source. So it's always really important that you follow the right directions on stuff like this if you are going to do it. Um, I
Yeah.
spend a lot. I spend a lot of money on these games, and I know that everybody who I recommend to go to one also spends a lot of money on the games. I would never want to see my money get lost, and more importantly, I wouldn't want to see anybody else's get lost. So, you can kind of trust me on it, and I'll show you now, well, very soon in a video, how to use it and what the best process of doing it is for me. And hopefully that's enough to convince you guys, or a small percentage of you at least, that these websites are safe. They are reputable, and I'm more than happy to put my name out there on the line and say this is this is my recommendation for you guys, because we all just want to get the extra little bits that we can from the game, and whatever methods we can do to find that. If anybody's got tips and help, I'll always listen, and if I've ever got tips and help, I'll always offer it and share it. So yeah, that's my kind of stance on it.
Yeah, I appreciate I appreciate you sharing your experiences, and that risk of the ban hammer coming out from the developers. It's not so much the use of the service, it's the and this is how they phrase it. They call it illegal refund scams. And that what that essentially means is if you're using a top-up service that's not reputable and they recall the funds at a later point in time and try to do a rug pull, then the developer gets hit with the chargebacks. It's linked to your account. That's where you get in trouble. But otherwise, they get their money, they're happy. In fact, they sometimes get more money on it, but it's a risk for them, and therefore they generally try to just push players away from it. But
Yeah,
even and I say this like I have Paxify as a sponsor, at least through Play Smarter Community, as a sponsor of my channel, and I've had probably 8 or 10 of these top up companies reach out to me and try and offer some sort of sponsorship deal, and I'll say it was like night and day having conversations with Paxify versus them because it's all this whole industry operates on trust, And if I'm gonna put my name something, just like you said, like I want to be sure that it's fine. And
Yeah,
I asked a lot of
absolutely.
direct questions about the business model. They were super transparent, probably more so than I would have been if I was running it. And then night and day versus all the other ones that were kind of very gave me some sketchy vibes and didn't answer direct questions with direct answers or kind of pivoted away from that topic. So I and then at the same time, I also was asking Century, reached out 3 or 4 times with them and said, "Hey, is there actually something wrong with using a top up itself? Is that a bannable offense, or is it just this what you're calling a legal refund scam?" And they, 3, 4 interactions back and forth, they kept trying to dissuade and say, "Oh, well, you don't wanna necessarily do that because then we're not responsible for XYZ things, and, there's a risk of ban if it's a refund." But they never actually said, and I even said Paxify specifically, they never said, "If you use Paxify, you will get banned." So, that gave me the confidence to say, okay, between that interaction and, my own diligence around them, I said, I can take them on as a sponsor and put my name against it. But yeah, I mean, look, I recognize that's not for everyone, but if we're talking about a whale nuking their account and going to another kingdom and then rebuilding, it's a
Yeah,
part of what probably that whale in that position would do as they're thinking of buying packs and rebuilding the account, looking for every edge that they can possibly get, and that's one of them, and it would be weird for us to just not include it if that's how the
yeah,
pack expenditures are
exactly.
being made.
I came on here for sort of full transparency to the viewers because I think it's really important that they see all aspects of what we're trying to do here, and a big part of that will be me purchasing packs because that's how I play the game. So I wanted to share with everybody my experiences, what I would recommend, and that does kind of revolve around spending money. So if I'm going to be spending my money, I might as well tell you and show you all where I'm going to do it.
And with that, let's do it.
Yeah, let's jump across to wherever it may be. So I'm here on Paxify with 3,000 credits, which I bought previously, so I was well prepared and organized because I often get called lazy. And I don't deny that I'm lazy either. It's just part and parcel of being me. So I also went across and linked my account and, sort of made sort of some preparations so that it was a bit easier for everybody to see. But if we're going to this now on Kingshop for me, you'll see I've got a couple of bundles already um, in the shopping cart, and that only comes to 2,000 credits. So I noticed before that I didn't have the pack for the Path of Honor. So I'll upload that picture there, scroll down and select it's a 9.99 pack, and I'll add that to my cart as well. And just like that, we've got 4 packs. Hit continue and double check. So, like I was showing you guys, I always buy the weekly and monthly cards. That's every week or every month, regardless. Whenever that timer hits 0, I'm going to be buying it. And I think if you guys are really looking to develop your accounts, you'll sort of understand as to why that's so important, because the value that they give on a day-to-day basis is huge. And when I get back into game, I'll show you the benefits of the other pack that I've just added right now. So without further ado, everything's good. We've got 3,000 credits. I'll go for checkout. And now, as you see here, it's got an estimated time between 50 and 60 minutes. I have no doubts that it's going to be a lot quicker than that. Place the order. So I've confirmed it now. They'll be reviewing the order and obviously just making sure that everything's okay, that the pictures I uploaded are okay, and that they're able to find and locate the account. Obviously, it's got some stuff on there that I've bound the game through. Um,
Yeah, I'll
I
gray
will-
that out, don't worry.
yeah, it's okay. None of it's personal, to be honest. I just made a blank Gmail for it, but um, I can sort of keep up with that and monitor that just from the website page. But I think for the benefits of everybody else, if we jump back to the other account, and I can sort of show them,
Yeah,
yeah.
let's jump over to the other one.
Right. So yeah, while all of that goes through on Paxify, I'll just go through the other pack that I bought and didn't really go into before. So this was it. The Hero Rally, or if you look at the event, it's called the Path of Honor. Um, and on here, you basically get rewarded for being active. So the more stuff that you're doing on game when you're there, the more you'll sort of progress down this ladder chart, and obviously it's got 11 days left for mine, and I'm not very far down because this is just a burner account that I'm not really too bothered about. But certainly for my other account, the faster I can get through these levels, the better, because the overall rewards that you get from them, are sort of huge. You get 70 true gold, you get the hero shards for the specific hero of whatever season it is you're in. You also get charms, speed ups, and some energy, like we spoke about before, the importance of that for your governor gear. So it covers a really wide range of things that you're going to need in the game, or that you're certainly going to benefit from having. um and all of that kind of factors down to events, and the especially the long events that sort of span over a few periods of days. I haven't got one to show you right now, but you know exactly what I'm talking about. The Hall of Governors, or Kingdom versus Kingdom, or Strongest Governor, or whatever it may be that's on in your server at that time. um and I think if you're able to participate in every single day of those and collect the rewards, I mean, Alliance Brawl is actually a probably good one to show. If you look at the leaderboard and the personal points, this does span across a few days, and each day has got different criteria that it wants you to meet in order to score points. For me, this event's always been about spending money. The more money I spend, the more points I get. But typically, because of the packages that I buy, it gives me gems as well. So I can spend the gems as I'm buying them, and it doesn't deplete, the overall amount that I have or had. Um, and I think that's really important that people sort of look at these events when they come up on the calendar in this section, and they kind of plan for it. You'll often hear about people talking about hoarding things, and you know, save up, don't use everything right now, you'd wait for an event or whatever it may be. Your backpack's the most valuable thing that you could possibly have on a game. Speed ups, you can use them pretty much on any day, but there is certain days where some things that you'll have, like hero shards, are going, they're going to score you the most points. And the higher up you can push in those events, obviously depends on how much money you're going to spend, because there's always a whale somewhere that's prepared to spend just as much. But the higher up you score on them, the better rewards you get. And the rewards all vary. So sometimes it could be something for your island, or I'm just trying to show my island here. This one's a lot better laid out than my other one, but I'm really not too bothered. There's some events here that are going to give you free stats in relative issues to your power. So if you are ever uncomfortable and you do ever want to leave, those are really, really big things. If you can participate in the events and get the stats as much as you want, whether you leave or not, you're always going to find yourself in a better position. So honing in on and focusing on those events is, that's kind of imperative to your account. That's going to make you a standout player, and whatever level that is, if you're, let's say you're not one of the whales, let's say you're a slightly smaller player and you're in that category, of sort of the middle of the table, if you will. If you can edge towards the top end of the middle of the table, everybody else is going to benefit more, and you're going to benefit more. You'll do more damage in your bear trap every 2 days. You'll do better in events, that are frequent and that are common. And the more people that benefit from your success isn't just you. You know, everybody else in your alliance also takes a lot of gifts and rewards from that. Um, you know, and, oh, there we go. It's showing that I've purchased the pack, so that's
Oh,
a good sign.
it's already purchased on the other one.
Yeah, that was a quick 50 or 60 minutes, wasn't it?
Yeah.
No, that and that's what I mean about Paxify, you know, it'll always give you the worst case scenario and say, this is the ultimate time that it could take, but as you've just seen there from me on video, it's never that long. You're never waiting too long without. And the communication that they give is absolutely fantastic between them all. So, you know, they're brilliant.
Yeah.
We
And we
spoke about
also
what pack I bought, and you know, we can see that they actually got it correct and everything was right. There's no issues whatsoever. You know, it's all the weekly cards and the Path of Honor. Perfect.
yeah,
Job well done.
and you can see from the timers that it just showed on the chest there, it was even like a minute or so before we flipped over, all of them had been completed. We were just
Yeah.
screwing around talking about other stuff.
Yeah, that's it. You know, I was just trying to fill a bit of time and not let you guys get bored while we waited. So, you know, but I
We
mean, I tried to
overshot.
leave that. Yeah, I tried to leave that screen on for the Alliance gift collection. And obviously, I spoke really early on. For me, my priority is being in a highly active alliance that probably will spend money at a similar rate or, you know, whether it's less or more, you know, somewhere around what I'm prepared to spend. If I can accumulate players that are at the same level as me, we all get much better gift rewards, you know, and I think that's crucial. So you'll see here there's speed ups, there's gems. I mean, none of it's a massive amount, none of it's a great deal overall until, you know, the events are on and the better packs come out, but there's always consistently something there to collect. And the more people in your alliance, the more people that are collecting them, you'll see these honor chests. So if you've got, you know, 20, 30 people in your alliance that aren't logging in every day and they're not collecting them, this honor chest is going to take a lot longer to fill up. So that's the importance of having it active. You know, you constantly want to push as much as you can out of the game from every single aspect. If there's something for free that you can get and you're not getting it, all you're doing is really wasting time on it, you know, on the game. And that's not something that we ever really want to encourage as active players. You know, it's maximizing the time that we've got for, you know, the most important things. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's
you don't wanna
something I
be
wanted
falling
to touch on.
behind.
Yeah, definitely. That's something I wanted to touch on. You know, is obviously I'm in a very strong alliance.
Should we flip back over to the other
Yeah,
one,
yeah,
by the way?
yeah,
Let's do
yeah.
that. And I think here's a good spot to give a quick special thank you to my Sloth Squad channel members whose continued support helps make videos like this possible. This is also usually the part of the video where I thank my sponsor, the Play Smarter community, which is part of Paxify. But since we just talked a bunch about them, I'll simply say that neither Hugh nor I received any compensation for their inclusion in this video. Well, other than the savings he got on his packs from using the service, of course. But if you do decide to use them, checking out with creator code SLOTH will send a small portion of your purchase back to the channel. And they're the only such service I trust enough to even agree to this sort of arrangement. All right, so now we're back on the other account, and while we was switching over and I was resizing, we just kind of did the math on looking at the timestamps from the transaction. It was 4 minutes and 48 seconds to get all of the packs purchased, and that's all of them inclusive from when the order was actually sent. So that was pretty fast turnaround.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that was really smooth, really easy. You know, I appreciated the fact that it was so quick, and you know, I didn't have to sit my phone down for a great length of time. I was able to just carry on my typical day, and that's one of the good things about, you know, Paxify, is that they sort of deal with it and take care of it for you, and you know, you notified as soon as it's done. So it was ideal for us.
Yeah,
Um,
we just missed the notification and we were too busy talking. It went quicker
yeah,
than we were
that's
even
it.
expecting.
So in terms of the regrowth, I think one of the first things that I'm gonna have to do is put all my gear back on my heroes and things like that.
Yeah, that'll be
You know, and
nice.
I'll boost them back to general level, but this will give you an idea of just how much I was able to chop off before I jumped. So if you are, killing your troops before you do all of this in preparation, or if you do it by accident or whatever it may be, um,
I hope not.
you've kind of got an idea of what you're looking at. So if I go to ascend just the first 5 heroes, I guess, and
Yep.
see where it takes me up to. I do like this feature where you can click and hold,
Oh yeah,
because I
that's
think
great.
spamming this for 80 times on 5 different heroes is not good for anybody's thumbs.
Especially if it's a couple days after castle battle.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just gonna fly through and get whichever 5 I can, just to bring everybody's level back up to 80, and I'll deal with the rest later.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but that's one, again, another good feature about the game is the drill camp lets you sort of pick and choose which heroes you want as your leading 5. I just typically do whoever's closest to the top of the list. I'm quite lazy like that, but other people have it planned out for different reasons or whatever it may be. There's no right or wrong way to do it in my mind. So if you are confused about that, don't be. It's okay.
I've got
And
a
you'll
video
see
on that one
here.
actually, Hugh. I've got a video I
Oh,
can link on the description on
yeah,
uh
perfect. Throw that in. Give people all the information they need
yeah. I got a drill camp video. I'll put
it.
I'll put the link in the description for everyone.
Yeah, so you'll see here right now on my screen, I've got 3 heroes that are already up to 80, and I've got 4 heroes here that are all showing level 1. What I'm actually just going to do is bring 5 of them up in total first, and then show you all again that you'll get the benefits from just having 5 in the drill camp, and anybody else doesn't really matter unless you're going to use them. So for me, I am like, one of my heroes here, an SSR hero, he's Jaeger, and I do use him for some things. So it's important for me to bring him up as high as he can, and I am going to max him out. I've just tried to keep power down because I knew I was moving. But you'll see some changes over the course of the next few episodes, so don't worry about that. But there you
Yeah,
go. That's 5
should be enough.
heroes up.
Hit drill
Yep.
camp. I don't know if depending on which ones you picked, you might have some empty slots. Nope, you get them all.
Nope. Yep.
All right, so let's
I'm
go
all
back. So
good.
you were at 169 million and change.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm now at
187.
187 with all hero gear on and all heroes back to normal. Bar 1 or 2, which I'll sort out off the video. But yeah, that's kind of what you're looking at as your ballpark figure. If you can get somewhere close to 180 million, you can typically shave off around 10 to 15 million
Yeah.
just by doing those really simple tricks. So
Yeah, or
the
17 or
overall
18 in
damage
this
you have to
case.
do to your account is far less than you ever think, unless you are super big. Then it's just unfortunate.
Yeah, if I tried to do that with my account, I'd have some trouble. Most of my strength is the 2 million plus troops that I have. So
Yeah.
but that's
You'd
the
be
life of
going
a
for
low
a long
spender.
time giving people love taps.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like I say, it's been fantastic again, obviously, having this video and this opportunity. I'll go to the Alliance chest, I'll collect all of my benefits again and just let you see what I got from buying my own packs. Here, there was a lot less because it only started from when I joined the Alliance. But,
You should actually collect the packs.
yeah, you definitely should. um, Go to mail and make sure that everything's there. It is. So if I go onto the packages, you'll see now I've got the True Gold Weekly, the Pet Weekly, and the Gear and Speeds as well. So they're all there. Everything's good, on that front. And if we go to deals, I've got to start getting active again in this server. Reset back to 0.
You
So
got time.
yeah, that's it. I've got a lot of things to do on my hands now in order to bring us up for the next video. But yeah, it's been another good opportunity for me to share some information and get you guys some more knowledge to hopefully help your gaming experience.
Yeah, and let's talk about the next one. So you're probably I know from the transfer you can't really compete effectively for this alliance brawl, which is unfortunate because you can't get the island
Yeah, so I'm
decoration from it.
I'm locked out of it, and obviously the rewards, they do include these buildings for your island. The horn, which I already have, and I think I've got some of this, whatever they call it, a caravan as well. Um, it is super important if you're not transferring and you're staying where you are that you do participate in these kind of events because the value of those things is huge. Now, I kind of had a suspicion ahead of time that I wouldn't be able to participate once I'd left the alliance I was in the other server. If it was an option and the game allowed it, one of the things that I would have probably done was joined a different alliance within the server. I would have gone to another like this one here, an Academy Alliance. It's quite a small alliance. It's not, it's not groundbreaking or anything like that. But they don't have a great deal of spenders in there, so I wouldn't be competing with all of my friends on who can spend the most money and buy the most packs. It
Yeah.
would take out that competition between us all and kind of allow us to get as many of the rally leaders within the server to get as many, sort of benefits from the event as possible. And that's something that you should certainly try and keep an eye on if it's possible for you.
Now,
So if you know, go on.
can you go back to your governor profile for a second?
Oh yeah, of course.
And then for that red gear that you have there, can you just tap on that
Yep.
and just see gear enhancement? Because I
Yep.
wanna I wanna contextualize a bit, particularly if you're a whale, how some of these island buildings can actually be quite helpful. So just look at the amount of resources that it would need to take your
Hmm.
infantry attack and defense up only 2.5%. Now,
Yeah.
if you consider, now go to your island and look at the Horn of Victory.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point actually, and it's something that I didn't really think to pick up on before. But the event, I don't know where my horn is. Hang on.
That's all right. Order of priority, you had to collect the essence. You were a
Oh
bit over.
yeah, absolutely. There's my horn. So my horn's at
Yeah,
level 3, and that's
but just
that's
hit
strictly
info
just
on
off
it
the age of the
or
account.
upgrade. Hit upgrade
Yeah,
on it,
so upgrade.
right? So look at this, right? So, level 3 Horn of Victory, right? Just upgrading that one, it's 1% attack, but it's 1% attack for all units.
Yeah, so all three
And
of your troops get a buff from upgrading this, whereas if you're gonna do the governor gear, you've got to pick which troop type you're going to apply that 2.5% to.
but
And obviously,
just think about the hundreds of artisans' visions, the tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of satin even, and
yep,
how much it takes to get that same percentage point versus, if you were able to do something like this and jump into a less competitive alliance where you can easily
yep,
take a top 5 role and put a 1 or 2 levels on that horn, maybe get it to level 5 or something. Well, you'd probably be 1
yeah,
short if you took
exactly.
top, but still, you get the point. Like, it's actually the later you are into the game as a whale and the more diminishing returns you've hit on other fronts, some of these island buildings can comparatively be a good source of value in terms
Oh
of how
yeah,
much they raise your stats for the amount of
yeah,
effort.
they're phenomenal in terms of saving money because once you hit a certain level, it does become you've got to spend an awful lot more to get any further than you previously had to spend.
Yep.
And I think that that's something that people neglect and abuse quite quickly in the game is that they jump up really, really fast and then they hit a stumbling block and it's like, oh dear, where
Yeah.
do I go next? And that's a big question that people aren't, always sharing the answer to.
So one of the things I think about it for those who are listening and maybe are saying, "Well, hey, I'm not a high spender. It's going to be tough for me to get one of these Horn of Victory island decorations, getting the top 10 in it. I have a lot of other spenders in my alliance." One of the things that I've done, well, there's two approaches you could take. One is to actually save up some of your resources if you see you're already high point difference and you're far ahead in KVK, you could save those and try to use them next week on Alliance Brawl, and that
Hmm.
can sometimes get you in the top 10. Or the other thing that I've done is, if my alliance has 2, 3 stars or victory stars from winning past ones, there's a decent chance we're gonna be playing against someone who's probably got deeper pockets than the alliance that I'm in, and therefore there's a decent chance we'll be on the losing side of that anyway. And what I've done before is just popped over to our farm alliance for that week and dropped a bunch of points there where the
Yeah.
competition's very little, and particularly not only competition that you're facing, but competition within your own alliance. And you could get, just by rotating out for a week or so, you could get one of these top marks, and that's a permanent increase. If you take first place, that you can already get a couple levels of the island decoration if you don't have it, because the copies are quite low at the beginning that are needed. So you can actually get a few, percent permanent increase to attack for all troops just by doing that for 1 week during a time where otherwise the servers tend to be pretty slow the week after KVK. So that's something else you could think about doing if you wanted to play it that way. But either way, it's unfortunate, Hugh, that you won't be able to rebuild on top of Alliance Brawl to get it for yourself.
Yeah, it is part and parcel of moving.
So all you can do is just take your minimum milestone chests. So that your strategy here is to just spend the minimum to get those chests and save everything for future events. So let's now
Yeah,
talk about
exactly.
future events then. So what are you
Yeah.
where are you thinking of making the big splash?
So for me, the next real big event that I'm really excited for and looking forward to is going to be the Strongest Governor. Um, don't know if I can find it on the hero page with these new heroes. Some of no, that's Hero Roulette. Sorry, Swordland.
Be
Oh,
Elgar.
so it is Alcar. Yeah. So the strongest governor for me, we don't have holo governors anymore. I don't think, or if we do, I don't. I don't.
You
It
you
must be
get
closed in the
them
house.
you can still get them late in the game if you have a bye week for KVK. It turns Kingdom of
Ah,
Power into
okay,
Holo
yeah.
governors.
So yeah, if the game doesn't find you an opponent, you'll get that instead.
Yep.
But yeah, the strongest governor for me is going to be the next real big event because, again, like we keep talking about the rewards that you get from it. This, this next generation of heroes is hands down better than the previous one in terms of all the stats that they give and in terms of tactical play for where I want to be and where I'm at as you know a whale in the game. I'm expected to at least hold a turret of some kind if I'm not going to hold the main center building. But these heroes, wherever you can pick up the shards for them, do it. you know, um, for
Yep.
me, I've just lost. Like 100 million power in order to kill all my troops and move. If you look at these events, typically, and it doesn't really matter what it is, the one day of any event that scores the most amount of points for people is always Troops Day. So I've got currently 173 days of general speed ups. I've got 12 of just the general troop speed ups. That's almost 200 days. If I'm looking at this realistically and thinking I can buy back 100 days pretty quickly for me, I might as well just use half of my speed ups, really focus on Troops Day, and try to get as high up in the rankings as I possibly can for that event because it's going to benefit me as soon as Kingdom versus Kingdom comes around. I'm going to have all of the hero shards that I collect from the rewards. So that kind of counterbalances the fact that I'm using a lot because I'm getting a lot back in return. And it means that I can score points on various different days, which
Yep.
is always important.
And speaking of that, for that next episode, we'll have the fun task of coordinating on Troop Day for Strongest Governor with the time slot that you'll be aiming for from the
Yeah.
king position. But in any case, we will meet there. So in a week for us, only the next episode for all of you.
Yeah.
And I think we'll pick up the conversation from there. So on this one, we get to see the transfer, we get to see the purchase from and actually discuss the whole idea of using top up services on it and the pros and cons. talk about which packs to buy, talk about all of the various little tweaks and optimizations there, about the importance of alliance brawl and island decorations. It was quite a big conversation, and hope it was helpful for all of you listening, gave you some different perspectives across various spend levels in the game, which is something that I was really excited about for these videos to illuminate a bit more on. But next time we come back, we'll be diving into that strongest governor competition as we see Hugh rebuild his account properly. And in the
Yeah.
meantime, good luck on not trying to spend everything sitting in your backpack, Hugh.
Thank you. Rest assured, if I do spend it, I will be buying it back. So that's my word, and I've said it out in public now. So you all got to hold me to it.
All right, folks. Well, I hope to see you on the next one. Thanks again for watching and happy gaming out there.